So in today's video, I'm gonna do a full day of eating as a regenerative farmer here at Angel Acres. So in case you guys are new here, we definitely take a Peat, bioenergetic, pro-metabolic approach to our nutrition strategy with a nose to tail and Strong.Sistas spin. So the whole purpose of these full day of eating videos is to not give you an exact outline of what you should eat. You shouldn't try to exactly replicate or copy what I eat in a day. Instead, it's just more like meal inspiration, some meal ideas. I think that everyone should experiment to find meal sizes, meal ratios, different food groups that work for them. And I think that the easiest way to do this is using a thermometer and track their body temperature and pulse. So measure it when you wake up, measure it like 45 minutes after breakfast, pre-lunch, after lunch, and your temperature should be increasing. If your temperature decreases after a meal, you're definitely running on stress hormones, adrenaline, and so maybe that meal didn't necessarily work for you. And so I've done a ton of experimentation over this last year using a thermometer, and there's certain things that I have found that works for me. For example, breakfast, I need to have a big breakfast and I need to include a starch at that breakfast in order to increase my body temperature from my waking temp. If I just do a bunch of juice and fruit in my breakfast meal, my temp actually goes down. So I have found that including a starch for breakfast works well for me, and that having breakfast as my biggest meal works well for me. So do some experimentation to find what particular foods work for you. I do not think that there is any specific set of foods that are like mandatory. I think that whatever you can do to improve your metabolism, improve your thyroid functioning, that's what's gonna work best for you and something that's sustainable long-term. All right, so let's get into today's full day of eating. All right, so this morning's breakfast, let's start with the protein and fat sources. So raw goat cheese, that's gonna be a fat and protein source. Some Apsey Farms beef liver, largely just a protein source. And then Apsey Farms ground beef, that's gonna give some fat and protein. And then right here we've got stewed nectarines. So we just peel the nectarine and then we chop it into slices and cook it low and slow with a little bit of water in a pot. Tastes so good this way. You do not have to stew your fruit, but we really enjoy it. And then some leftover white sweet potato. So normally I have just like plain potato here, but we had some meal prepped, so I wanted to finish it off. So white sweet potato that was boiled, and a little bit of watermelon on the side, and then everything seasoned with some salt. All right, so coffee is ready. Turn this off, and we like to make our coffee in a French press. So we've just got the ground coffee beans, so we grind them ourselves. We like the beans from Biodynamic Coffee. It's certified mold-free and free of heavy metals. And then they also source from biodynamic and regenerative farms. So it's improving ecosystems and improving soil health, which is super cool. So I'm gonna make some coffee in the French press. So after morning chores and a dog walk, I like to have some coffee with some raw milk, coconut water, maple syrup, and salt. I'll of course mix the two. I just like to let the coffee cool down just a little bit. So we just made a batch of bone broth yesterday in the Instapot. We'll have to share the recipe that we've been using recently, because look at this wiggle jiggle. And this was just from a pressure cooker. So definitely gonna have some wiggly jiggly broth for lunch. All right, so I peeled and stewed some pear chunks, and then I added some cooked white rice that we meal prepped and a little bit of butter. And then to add a little bit of Flav, some coconut aminos. So the ingredients are just organic coconut tree sap, and it adds a nice little flavor to the dish. So we're gonna mix this all up. And then adding a little bit of shrimp that we cooked on the side. to the dish for some protein to this little scramble thing. And lunch is served. So this little scramble's got some carbohydrates from the pear and the rice, a little bit of fat from the butter, and then shrimp as the protein. And then have some protein in the wiggly broth here. And frequently asked question on Instagram. Yes, I do choose to eat this cold some days. The high is like 80 degrees today. So it's like a little meat jello. You can heat it though. There's nothing wrong with heating your broth. And then a Ray Peat carrot salad on the side, which is just carrot, apple cider vinegar, coconut oil, and some salt. So just a note on the Ray Peat carrot salad, apparently it is most effective on a slightly empty stomach. So I like to eat this first in the meal, and the goal is endotoxin and estrogen removal. So a snack to sip on while we go to this event for a local wedding barn to kind of get some ideas for the red barns here. So this is a cup of raw milk, cup of raw goat milk, cup of orange juice, and then some aloe vera juice. So this is like a spin on the adrenal cocktail because you got the whole food vitamin C in the orange juice, and then aloe vera juice is a great source of potassium, as you can see there. So you're getting the whole food vitamin C, the potassium, and then we also have some sea salt in there as well. So out with Princess, we are about to do some afternoon chores. So Princess had a little bit of an accident a few weeks ago, and she has recovered so much. She's still slightly paralyzed, so she can't walk, she can't coordinate leg movement, but she has come so far in her recovery. We'll share a separate video about that. But you ready for some chores? Ready for some afternoon chores? So getting some things ready for dinner this evening, and we're gonna braise some beef kidney. So this is grass-fed and finished beef kidney from Apsey Farms. This is one of our favorite cuts when it's prepared properly. So we like to chop it up with some shears and then braise it with some fresh herbs, like some fresh thyme. We have a whole nose to tail cooking series for our favorite ways to prep some organs. So I'm gonna bring this to the stove and braise some for dinner. So also roasting up some kabocha squash. So this is my favorite type of squash for dinner. So we just slice it into little slices like this. It cooks faster than just doing halves. And then take these seeds out, and we're going to clean this up and save these seeds to plant and start our own garden next year. So we're gonna throw these in the oven at around 400 and roast until it lightly browns and gets soft. And then we will peel the squash out from the skin. All right, so tonight's dinner, we've got some of that baked squash with some butter on top, some stewed peaches. We just peeled the skin off, sliced it up, and cooked it on low. So good. Beef kidney, a low putha Angel Acres egg, and then some bone broth that Sarah heated and put it in our nice china, our Halloween nice china. All right, so the final meal of the day, a little nightcap. So we've got some Angel Acres eggs. I did not put enough tallow on the pan, so they stuck to the pan a little bit, had a hard time getting those off. Some orange juice gummies, so it's just orange juice and gelatin. We like the Perfect Supplements brand gelatin. Discount code in the description below. Then we got some frozen dark sweet cherries and some raw goat milk in the nice Halloween china. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Just again, as a reminder, these full day of eating videos are not to be like a meal template for you. Instead, just inspire you to try different foods and meal combinations and things like that. Instead, you should experiment to find what works best for you, because what I eat in a day, the amount and type of food, isn't necessarily going to work exactly for you. So you should do some experimentation to find an approach that works for you. Are you pooping every day? Are you feeling energized, ready to go? Is your body temperature good? Are you working closer towards your goals? Things like that. So I will include a video with Roddy that we talked about like what is health, and I think that was a great discussion. Definitely tune into that. But make sure you include some comments below about how we can improve these full day of eating videos, what other questions you guys have, and until our next video, make sure you're behaving like an angel.